to try to douse the flames. A blaze tore through a forest near the capital, Athens. Another was burning in the south near the archaeological site of ancient Olympia, where the Olympic Games were first held in 776 BC. Elaine Cobb, CBS News.
Turns out the sprinter from Belarus who resisted attempts to send her home showed police at the airport in Tokyo a plea for help on her phone that had been translated into Japanese. She feared reprisals for being critical of her coaches. The police kept her there, and yesterday she did fly to Vienna and then to Poland, where she's seeking refuge along with her husband. I'm Steve Kathan, CBS News.
Well, good morning, everybody. Greg Oscar filling in for Dave Vickers here on our usually opening day interview for the next show on the Showboat. And good morning to James.
Good morning.
And we also have along with us Jess Ford and Alexandra Palkovic, and they are the show.
They are.
Yeah, they are the show tonight. Two people, two-person play, and we're now. Have you guys been around here lately? I think you've been.
I've never performed at the Showboat, no, but at Timberlake Playhouse in Mount Carroll, so not too far. Yeah, in the neighborhood.
Yeah, and you're a newbie to the area here.
I performed at Timberlake Playhouse as well.
Oh, did you? Cool.
Yeah, but this will be my first time at the Showboat.
Yeah. Well, I think you'll enjoy it. It's usually a pretty good, responsive crowd, and you'll have a lot of fun with it.
Yeah. Really excited.
Well, let's first off, let me kind of talk about the last show and a little bit of how this season's been going.
Sure.
So how was the crowds throughout the run of?
For Church Basement Ladies, it was fantastic.
Yeah.
It was one of our biggest selling musicals in the last few years. All Shook Up was too, but All Shook Up ran 3 weekends. So,
yeah,
when you break it down by show, Church Basement Ladies was really popular. And it's such a fun and heartwarming show that is so relatable to people, specifically in the Midwest, because it's so much about, Lutherans, a specific group of Lutherans from the upper Midwest. But I think anybody who grew up going to church recognizes those characters. So just a lot of fun and wonderful response from the audience.
Yeah, I kind of like the Lutheran versus Catholic banter in there. So.
Yeah, I went to Catholic school, and so, but it takes place in the 60s, and so much has changed since then that, I was talking to my parents who saw the show, who are Catholic also, and, we were just talking about the changes that have evolved in that with my Lutheran aunt and uncle. So, it was a fun family dinner after Church Basement Ladies.
But that was a very good show.
Thank
All
you.
the gals just fit the characters perfect.
Oh, yeah.
I think. And,
we had such a wonderful group of people in that show.
Yeah.
You just couldn't ask for a better lineup.
And how's the early part of the season going through now? Pretty successful.
It's been good. It's been a weird summer, like nothing we've ever seen before. But we're one of the only companies I know that opened on time, with exactly what we said we would do, and we've pivoted a bit. But the first show was by the river for Always Patsy Cline, which was gorgeous. Weirdly, 95 degrees every day during the first part of the summer, and then it's been a gorgeous summer.
Yeah, beautiful
ever since.
setting for that show.
Yeah, and then Smokey Joe's Cafe at the Riverview Bandshell, and both of those. The audiences who came loved them. They were less attended than our previous season indoor shows, but once we moved back indoors with All Shook Up, the crowds came back, and they stayed for Church Basement Ladies, and we hope to see them again for Constellations.
Yeah, All Shook Up was a really good show too.
Yeah, thank you.
Again, a great cast.
Just wonderful. Yeah. Jess and I actually met 13 years ago doing a different production of All Shook Up.
Oh, really?
So yeah, it's very full circle. Yeah.
Well, let's find a little bit about Jess, and
Sure.
I got your bio out of the playbills there, so I can help follow along a little bit. Why don't you again introduce yourself and how you started out in theater and
Sure.
where it's led you. It looks like it's led you to a lot of places.
Yeah, I'm Jess Ford. I went to school in Chicago at the Chicago College of the Performing Arts. I originally in high school, I played a lot of football actually, and started doing theater to get to know a girl that didn't pan out. But I fell in love with theater instead. And
But look how how well it turned out.
Absolutely, yeah. And so I went to school in Chicago, and then I worked at Timberlake Playhouse in 2009, 2008. And that's where I first met Jim, and did a good old West Side Story and All Shook Up, and the producers. And then kept coming back to Timberlake a lot. Jim's been a really great friend and collaborator, and so when he called me for Constellations, I jumped at the opportunity to come back out to the Midwest and make some art in the cornfields.
And on the river.
Yeah.
That's one thing that's so unique about the Showboat is its location, and people they love it.
Yeah, it's you got the piece of history, something old, something new.
Mm-hmm.
It's such a beautiful setting out there on the Mississippi. It's been a lot of fun.
Now, you remember your first show that you did?
Ever? I sure do. It was Oklahoma. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Like I said, I was trying to get to know a girl, and then I got cast as Allie Hackham in Oklahoma.
Okay.
And I had so much fun. It was so much different than all the sports and things that I'd grown up doing. And all of a sudden, everyone, I don't know, it's such a great community. I think that's the thing about theater that always kept me interested is it's always a new group of people, but the same feelings are always there, and it's always so comfortable and accepting and creative. And I've never looked back.
Everybody bonds together.
Hopefully, hopefully. When it's good, it's great, and more often than not, you get to have these little temporary families. And it's a really special thing to get a group of people together and tell a story and spend that much time together. Yeah.
Yep. You get pretty close.
Oh yeah.
Well, let's find out about Alexandra here, about kind of where you started out, and again, you've been around the country, doing a lot of different shows in a lot of different places. So, why don't you let folks know a little about you?
So I grew up in Peoria, Illinois, and I grew up doing community theater there.
Okay.
Started in 4th grade. And I think I was really lucky that Peoria has a really great community theater scene. So that's just kind of what I also grew up doing some sports and dancing as well, but I did my first musical in 4th grade, and also then, never looked back.
What was that show?
Winnie the Pooh.
Was that good?
Winnie the Pooh.
Oh, okay.
It's my first show. And then I ended up going to Western Illinois University, studying musical theater. And right after WIU, I worked at Timberlake and met Jim, and then moved to Chicago shortly after and worked there in musical theater. And then I spent some time in New York and Denver, and now here I am again.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, Nate, I spent a little time in Peoria.
Oh, did you?
Way back when, and I lived in Macomb down at Western.
Oh my gosh! Okay.
For quite a few years, and so it's good to hear we got someone who knows this area or outside of the Chicago area.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. It's pretty nice to be back.
Yeah. Now, what were the some of the shows that you've been involved in? I would say up at Timberlake. What have you done there?
At Timberlake, my first summer there, I did Sweet Charity, and we also were doing Sunset Boulevard. I did with Jess, Sweet Charity, Sunset Boulevard, Children of Eden, The Velveteen Rabbit. And then I came back the next summer to do their production of Cabaret.
Okay. Good show too.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I really treasure my time at Timberlake with Jim, and I made so many wonderful friends there and got to do these beautiful shows and play some dream roles. It was,
Yeah. Timberlake's a special place too, and I've been to quite a few shows through the years going up there. I do reviews of the Showboat plays, and
cool.
Once in a while I fill in on some of the shows up at Timberlake. So it's neat to kind of be in different venues right here in this area.
Yeah, absolutely.
We've got the Showboat's small and compact, and through the years, Timberlake has expanded quite a bit.
Well, we were talking about those temporary families, and sometimes that extends past that. And I know that my relationship with Jim was very much, he called me up to do this play, and, things were a little crazy in 2020. Mm-hmm. But when he said, I want to do a show with you and Alex, I was like, great. I don't care where it is or what it is. We're just going to get together and make some magic and, tell some beautiful stories. And, some of those relationships, they stand the test of time, and you never know where they're going to bring you.
I've done when I lived in Macomb. In fact, I was in the Macomb Community Theater down there.
Oh, awesome.
And you get to work with university people, your local yokels like me that was down there, and again, it's just a great experience for people to go through. And now I know you folks, probably Timberlake, probably a lot of places really start with the children's plays to get the the kids involved in theater. And now, how's that been going here in Clinton this summer?
It's good. Clinton has the Showboat has a really cool program called the Deckhand program. So as far as like educational theater and theater for young people, I think there's two different ways to approach it. You want to help young people become new audiences, but you also want to help them become practitioners who are doing theater and learning about theater. And so the Showboat has a real great program in that the deckhands are young people who are interested in the practice of theater and doing theater. And so then they put on shows for young audiences where we bring in, the community to see shows and to hopefully get people excited about seeing theater and doing theater. And so that's been really great. We're looking at kind of expanding that as we go forward next year, to provide more opportunities for people to be involved as both audience members and practitioners, and really partnering with schools in a new and more meaningful way than we have in the past. But we did Pinkalicious the musical for kids, really well attended, and we did it at the auditorium at the high school, which was because of the union restrictions, because there's been so many rules that we've had to follow, and they keep changing, because we're a union company, so you couldn't have other productions using the same space as the productions that the regular adult company was doing. So there have been a lot of things like that. But the great thing about being at the high school was that it gave more resources to the Deckhand program, and a little bit more opportunity to kind of expand the scale of what we do for young people. So, we don't know what next year will bring and what rules will happen, but we know some people missed being at the Showboat for those shows, but there were a lot of benefits to partnering with the school district, and the superintendent really helped facilitate that. So that was great.
You have, like you mentioned, a good turnout, and it seems like every year there is a lot of interest here in town for the children to get involved.
And we only did one show this year. Typically we do two, but again, it was a logistic thing because we didn't know what we'd be allowed to do inside or who would be able to be in the same spaces as the main stage shows. So a lot of behind the scenes moving parts to kind of figure out how to do that, but we were able to do it, and really, really well received.
Okay. Now, any restrictions on the show for tonight? Masks or anything else that people need to know about and remember, to bring along if you need them?
As far as the unions go and our rules, there are no restrictions. Okay. Because fortunately Clinton has a fairly good vaccination rate, and transmission rate of COVID is still, knock on wood, relatively low here in the moderate range. And so I'm hopeful that we can maintain that for another 11 days so we can get through the season. Because, the unions will step in at some point and say masks will be required, but they are not right now. We do encourage everyone to get vaccinated, and please follow CDC guidelines based on your vaccination status about when you're wearing masks and how. But as of now, that is open to individual decision for that. And we hope that we can continue to control this so that we don't have to go through all of these things next year. Yeah,
that's for sure. Yeah. Now we'll get to next year in a minute. I
sure.
You finally got your lineup all set.
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah.
but I want to continue with
Sure.
these two a bit on what they're doing tonight in their show. Kind of maybe explain your characters. And I noticed just reading through, it's just like there's how many different scenes that you guys go through.
Yeah, it's tricky because there's many. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's kind of everything that can and won't happen all at once.
Okay.
It's a difficult show to describe in just words, so you should come see it. But
Okay. Yes.
But I guess my character Roland is a beekeeper, and he meets Marianne, the lovely Marianne, at a barbecue. And you see that scene play out, and then it stops, and it goes back, and you see it play out in a different way, and then it stops, and it goes back, and you see it play out in a different way. And throughout the whole play, it just kind of checks in on those relationships at these pivotal moments, and how they could be different or how they're the same. And we've been talking a lot about it. It's something that we see a lot in film and television. The timeline of things kind of bouncing around, but it's rare that you get to see it live. So it's really interesting to see this acting style and this performance play out right before your eyes.
Okay. What are I'll ask both of you this again. What are a couple of the different scenes that or situations that you go through?
Well, we do. So like when they first meet at the barbecue, the first time that they're meeting, we see how that plays out in different ways.
Okay.
And what else we have, like after their first date, see how like that goes. I'm trying to
or doesn't go.
Or doesn't go. I don't want to get too much.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it kind of, it just explores the relationship between these two people and all the possibilities that could or could not happen. And it's hard to describe, and it sounds complicated, but I feel like we've also been saying, I think there is something in this that everyone can relate to. It's a very human, it's about the human experience and like meeting someone and falling in love with them or not falling in love with them.
Yeah.
Or and out of love too.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and what's a play without conflict? And there's definitely plenty of conflict in this, but to see characters resolve that conflict or not in many different ways is something that's really, really interesting, and it's been fun to play with.
Yeah. Now, one of the notes I brought in, it says there's a adult language, illness, and a brief violet. So
sure,
a lot of things to go through here tonight.
And it's been interesting, being in a smaller town with different values and things. So we're not really sure with the adult language and stuff and the content. It's different, but I do think because there is something for everybody, it doesn't just focus on that. You don't get caught up on one thing or the other. For every curse word, there's a tender, beautiful life moment that brings it all back and kind of wraps it up nicely. But yeah, it's definitely, it's got some sad moments, but just as soon as you're crying, you're ready to smile again.
I'm an old softie, so I have to bring some Kleenex.
Bring some tissues, yeah.
It's definitely a little bit of everything.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good. Sounds like our audience always seems, you think, oh, they're so uptight about everything, but actually they seem pretty loose and open to a lot of the different shows that we've had through the years here.
I know for me that's what theater's for, is to challenge your beliefs and hopefully people leave the theater thinking about things, and that's always been important for me anyways, to create an environment in which you can discuss some things that are difficult or that you don't necessarily agree with, to kind of contemplate that a little more, and maybe grow a little bit in your life.
Okay. Well, again, Greg Knopfsky in for Dave Vickers today with the cast of the Showboat play Constellations, which opens up tonight, and James Beaudry, our artistic director this year, and hope he'll be here next year too. Huh? You're hoping.
Yeah, that's the plan.
Okay.
It's so weird because after 2020, and it's like, well, who knows? Anything could happen, but that's the plan right now. And I did want to say about Constellations also. The more we talk about it, the more we think about other things about it. And watching it last night, we had a small preview audience. And it's a show that, like, the loneliness that people have felt over the last year or year and a half, and the isolation, it really makes me feel connected and valuing the moments and the relationships that make me feel less lonely in life. And I think that's a wonderful feeling to leave the theater with. And so you go on this journey with Marianne and Roland, and you don't know what's coming next, and they don't know what's coming next. And maybe you don't even know what just happened, but that's what life feels like.
Yeah.
And then to leave the theater and go, wow, the relationships I have are so important, and the moments that I have with them are so valuable that I can take that with me. It adds up to more than we can possibly describe.
Okay.
So
Can I use that in my review?
absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Well, hey, we're 5 minutes to go here. So I do want to talk about next season.
Sure.
And somewhere I had a printout of the shows, but I guess you can tell us about it. Here we
Oh,
go.
good.
Yeah.
It's easier to look at them than to think.
Well, this printout didn't go.
It's
good,
okay.
but,
I got it. Yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah, we're really excited. And it's been a strange season because usually we have a bigger show at the end, but because of all of the rules we had to follow, we thought let's end with a small cast show because they were going to have to be in a COVID testing bubble at one point. So we normally do a big concert at the end of the year where we announce the shows. We had to move that up to when All Shook Up was playing and do it early, but then we didn't have contracts for all of the shows yet, so we couldn't announce them publicly, but now we have contracts, so we're very excited. So we're going to open the 2020 season with Sister Act, the musical, based on the Whoopi Goldberg film from 1992, which is a lot of fun. That's followed by a really wonderful play called Calendar Girls. I keep joking that it's kind of a mashup of Constellations and Church Basement Ladies. It's not, but that's just like what it feels like. It's about a group of middle-aged women from a women's club in England it's a true story, who put together a nude calendar to raise money for leukemia research after one of their husbands passed away. So like very fun and heartwarming play, which will be second next year. Third is Rodgers and Hammerstein's State Fair, which is my favorite Rodgers and Hammerstein show to work on because it's a musical comedy, and so many of their shows are musical dramas, but still with their great songs and great dances and an opportunity for a lot of kids to be in a show. And it's about the Iowa State Fair, which is pretty popular. Fourth is The Wedding Singer, the musical. Very, very funny musical, kind of in the style of All Shook Up. Based on the Adam Sandler film from the 1990s. A lot of fun, and really like an 80s nostalgia, like a lot of jokes about the 80s, very, very fun. And then we're going to close the season with a beautiful review called The World Goes Round, which is the songs of Candor and Ebb, who are the songwriting team behind Chicago and Cabaret and the song New York, New York, and the list of songs that they wrote goes on. So a really beautiful kind of traditional musical theater style show to end the season. And so season tickets are available now through the box office for $90. That will go up to $110 after this year. So $20 savings if you get them now. And you can get them on our website, clintonshowboat.org, or at the box office. And they don't open for another 30 minutes or so, but the number is 563-242-6760.
Okay. And now let's see, the second show, The Calendar Girls.
Yeah.
That was a movie, wasn't it? A few years ago?
It was, yeah. Starring Helen Mirren in 2003, I think. And it's written by the same guy who wrote the movie of Kinky Boots, which then became a Tony-winning musical. Just a really wonderful play. And you don't see a lot of plays with women of a certain age as the lead characters. And yet 70% of people who buy tickets to the theater in the United States are women 53 years old and up. So it's nice to find something that they can really connect to that doesn't have another, funny, lovable loser guy as the lead. We love those too. Come see Wedding Singer, but it's nice to see. It's nice to have shows with women at the center as well.
Well, that's one thing with the Church Basement Ladies. That again, those gals were excellent.
Right. And so Yeah, look for them. They all want to come back and be in Calendar Girls next year because it's so fun and they're so great. So we'll see who ends up back next year. But it's a great play.
Yeah,
really popular with groups
I
too.
noticed also here you got a special going on this weekend for
Yes.
tickets.
You can get 2-for-1 tickets to Constellations because we know it's something people haven't heard of. And if you want to come see it tonight, there's no show tomorrow because of Finally Fridays.
Oh, yeah.
We can't compete. In a small, intimate play can't compete with that party. So tonight at 7:30, Saturday at 7:30, or Sunday at 3, you can call the box office and get 2-for-1 tickets to Constellations, just for those 3 performances only. But we'd love for you to come see it. It's a beautiful play. The preview audience left last night and just thought it was stunning, and it makes you feel good and think in a way that's not scary. Sometimes thinking is scary.
Oh yeah.
This time it's beautiful.
Oh, good. Well, anything else we need to know before we wrap up the little interview here as we're sitting around talking theater?
Oh no.
Come check it out. See for yourself. Yeah.
An hour long.
Sounds good.
Yeah, it's only an hour long,
Not
so
even that big of a commitment.
and we're having a great time, and it looks
Yeah.
beautiful too. The set is gorgeous. On top of that, it's
Yeah.
Really
like
beautiful.
I noticed
beyond the
picture
performance
on
and stuff.
Facebook
Yeah,
here.
it's a really lovely set, and it even though none of it moves or anything, it looks like you're in different places from scene to scene.
Yeah.
It adapts really well, and the whole team's been great to work with.
Oh, great.
I think it's a very
I'm look-
unique theatrical experience.
For
Yeah.
sure.
I'm looking forward to it.
Thank you. Us too.
We'll let you go. And what else you got going on today? Just
Getting ready for opening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gotta go open a play.
all right. Sounds good. Break a leg.
Thank
you.
And we'll get our my producer here for our wrap-up music. Jess and Alex for coming in today for our preview of what's coming up on the Showboat tonight.